Hello, I'm Curtis Hamilton, and this is my Module 5, Understanding My Community for Shawnee Heights High School. Knowing the customs and traditions of my community, I recently came to community 2 years ago, and what's nice is they give us some professional development on learning about the community itself. What's very unique about Shawnee Heights, it's one of the larger districts in the state as far as boundaries. We actually are combined between three different communities, the Tecumseh, Barrington, and um, Topeka, which is a very large city, so very influential. But then we also divide up in between three different counties: Douglas, Osage, and Shawnee. So again, we wide range, and they brought it all together when they combined forced consolidation in the 1960s. So the school district itself is very unique when it comes to that. It also leads to some of the unique dynamics that we have in our district. Many of the small town traditions actually died when the towns lost their schools. The towns were kind of the center of Tecumseh and Barrington, and when they fell apart, really those towns have now combined to Shawnee Heights, and the school has kind of become the center that pulls the three different population zones really together. So school carnivals and activities really bring the community together. There's really no other large traditions within our community. Topeka itself has a lot of large traditions, parades, festivals, things like that our community would be involved with, but it is not really a big center of our district community. Recent change in our community makeup has brought some challenges to our district. We have seen socioeconomic issues in parts of our district, which has really affected our elementary schools because some of our elementary schools have low socioeconomic status now, and while other parts of our district have really seen growth in socioeconomic status. So again, a wide range there has caused some issues as far as one of the big ones was just redistricting our elementary schools, things like that, to make sure we are providing opportunity to everybody, and that kind of was a community issue several years ago. There's been recent change in our district as well as in our ethnic makeup. We've seen a large Hispanic population growth in recent decades. Knowing our population, a majority of our families have at least one member that has a bachelor's degree. We have we have a district that is wide ranging, mostly middle class and working class. We have a very high average age. We actually have some housing districts that are basically where people retire to as far as just kind of their ending housing, and they're big houses, and a lot of that population isn't involved in the school, and that's always something to be very aware about here. But we also have the parts of Topeka, which is very affordable housing in the suburban district. So we have lower age in that region of our district, mostly school age type families that would have students in our school, and so it makes for a very wide range within our district. Very stable population over the last 2 decades. A lot of that has to do with jobs, and we'll talk about that on the jobs one. Our district has seen a rise in minority populations, again specifically the Hispanic population. Most of our communication comes through social media, the Capital Journal, and the local news stations here. Most of our public uses our website to get information about the school, or they use social media. Social media has been a rather large increase. We've seen a large increase of people getting their information from social media, whether it be our social media or whether it be from community members' social media and their effect. And so again, that comes in play, especially when we talk about communication, because we want to put out the message that we want to put out to our community. So social media has been a big one here recently. We are transitioning to provide all of our information in Spanish to provide for our changing population. We have currently looked into other languages to see if there's any significant need. Haven't found anything yet, or we haven't seen an increase in anything yet. But all of our information is now available in Spanish in several different forms. Most of our community gets its news from TV and the Capital Journal, and again, like I said, social media has been a large one. And again, Capital Journal and the TV, since we are located near the Capitol, we often get interviewed over some of the issues that are going on there in schools. Groups in our community really are three different townships that kind of come together, are three different population groups that kind of come together. There's no really powerful groups, but there are some within our smaller, because our school is actually in Tecumseh, there are some around the school that has a lot of influence. The Kiwanis Club, various churches, a lot of the events, things like that, that they are involved in with the school. Boy Scouts is involved in the school. But then also you have the governmental groups like the Shawnee County Parks and Rec, because of Lake Shawnee in our district, very involved with our community as far as doing outreach and things like that, because they want to see how to actually improve the area. So that's been an ongoing thing as well, especially over the last 10 years, as they've spent a lot of money in this area. We at the school we have a site council, an education foundation. We have a PTA. We have some other groups that meet, but again, most of that is school centered, for the school, through the schools, things like that. And so the school really has been the really the gel of the community. Really, no group overpowers any other group in our district, and a lot of that has to do with just the school seems to be the main focus. Known leadership. Our superintendent, again, with our unique situation, our population in our community really is centered by the school. It's really the thing that brings them together all as one. Other than that, they would kind of be in their own separate population regions. So the school brings them together. And so the superintendent is very good at communicating with all our local representatives. Because of our different ranges, we actually have several different representatives for our district. And staying in communication with them has been important, as well as our parents. Parents are also very influential in our community, specific parents that are very involved. They influence our community members. They influence our Board of Education and some of the decisions there. Known community leader characteristics. They're good communicators. All of our community leaders are communicating with somebody to get the change that they see. And so sometimes that has caused some problems with the shared vision. Maybe parents and other powerful parents, things like that, have wanted one thing, superintendent another. House of Representatives, or not just our House of Reps, but our representatives in the Kansas State House, another vision, and that's been a problem in recent years with getting everybody to kind of have a shared vision. Economic conditions. We have several industrial parks on the edge of our district, especially so we have things like Target, Mars, Frito-Lay, which are really right at the edge of our districts, and so many of the workers actually live in our district, and so their students go to our school. So that's a very stable economic situation with the factory jobs. We also have the government jobs in Topeka, and then we also have we are actually in between the Topeka and Lawrence area. Our actual west border is within about 5 minutes of Lawrence, so we have a lot of people who work in Lawrence as well, in one of our population areas. So jobs are pretty steady within our district. Property values in our district are rather high in some areas, low in others, but overall pretty high property values compared to the surrounding Topeka area. We also are an agricultural district. Again, smaller towns of Barrington. Is in the area between us and Lawrence. There's a large agricultural area there. We also have the lake. Lake Shawnee is a lot of money has been spent by the Shawnee County Parks and Rec to create a tourist destination, and so there's been a lot of money, and that's brought in some business and development in the area that has helped the economic conditions of our region. District has business offices located next to the high school as well. The political structure, our school is actually pretty involved in politics of schools, since we are a local area to the capital. A lot of times we are on the news, our superintendent especially, stating opinions on things that are going on there. So that's a big part of our district. And then also national politics we pay attention to, because our changing population, some of the immigration and things that affect some of our ELL students, or even just our maybe our Hispanic students, that we've seen a rise in that. And then that also is we've seen a rise in migrants. So that is always something we pay attention to make sure we are providing for our community. Social tensions, again, a variety of backgrounds within our community. A big issue in recent years has been gangs reaching into our community, and that is, parents have wanted the school to do something about it, and so that's been an ongoing discussion on how to keep kids in school, and then once they are done with school, how do we keep them from joining gangs and things like that? How do we keep them from doing those type of things? And then also we've had some issues with just a wide range of backgrounds. Um, we have groups from the city, and then we have groups of individuals that lived in smaller population areas, and just a different background of where they come from. Things like the things like the Confederate flag have been an issue, and other remarks that have been made and stuff like that has led to some racial tensions, and those are things that we as a school have to be aware of, because we do have such a wide variety of individuals, and that means we need to be in front of that instead of waiting on something to happen, and so we've tried to do that. Sources of information, school records is really our main source of information. Again, we do have townships, but again, trying to get information on just Topeka and stuff like that, not always the easiest thing, because you have to break it down specifically the area that's in our community or in our district. Most of our records come from the school questionnaires, things like that. Minutes of the school board meetings are available to the public, as well as our staff and their information as well. The power structure, there's really no real power structure in our district. Again, we have a competing municipalities, so there's no real one mayor that influence our district, or one township member or something like that that really influence our district over another. Again, the school is really what brings the different power structures together. We have parents that are extremely involved that do have influence, and again, that's why it's important to understand who they are, to kind of control the media that is getting out there. And then again, as far as smaller political societies, again, our towns really break up into their own small political societies. And so that you do see some divide when it comes to some of the decisions at the school by where people live. Multicultural issues. We've had some issues over cultural divides. Again, our school district has seen several changes. We saw an increase in African American students about a decade ago, and then that actually decreased, and then now we've seen a larger Hispanic population. So that is, again, as those populations change, the needs of our students have changed, and we've seen some racial tensions arise because of that. And so that's always something that we've had to be aware of. Our school has done a really good job of celebrating culture. Again, that's one of the things that was brought to our attention as these changes happened, that we needed to be more involved in actually helping these students embrace the culture and embrace their identities and things like that. And so that has been a big push for our school lately. Again, that's part of the opportunity. We try to provide opportunities for all of this and to allow our community to actually merge into one. Known power structures. As far as power structure goes, districts are really divided between the old townships. Few people have influence on a wide range of our community. Again, they may have it in pockets, but again, it's usually in the areas in which they live. The school is by far the most powerful single unit within our district. There's because of our division of our different representatives at the State House, things like that, there really isn't one big representative that is overpowering. And so the school and the people who serve the school, as far as board members and our superintendent, are very powerful within the community because of that. Measuring public opinion. The public opinion in our school district is mostly positive. There is a divide among our public opinion among different racial groups and socioeconomic status. Our district is aware of this, and we continue to work to meet with those groups and try to provide the needs of the students, especially of different cultures and races. And then also the socioeconomic status. Our district has tried to provide more services to help those individuals as well. Public opinion survey was just recently completed. They did it in multiple formats to try to reach as many people as possible. Still not a lot of participation. Most participation was people who are already involved in the school. So it is important that the next time we reach out farther to people who are maybe not as involved, because we do have a large population of them, especially in those areas I talked about earlier where we have a really high property value, and these are people who may be retired, don't have kids in our district. Those who did participate were the highly involved parents, low turnout among with some underrepresented groups, especially some of the groups that we've seen an increase in, is